This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute number one online art school. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thanks, New Masters Academy. Hey everybody, welcome to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for animation.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today, we're going to talk about art school drama and how manipulative are people in Hollywood.
But before we get into it, make sure to smash, tickle, jingle my bells and buttons over there. Like, subscribe, all the things.
Thank you.
And the reason why we're talking about this is because this was actually a conversation we had fairly recently when we went to In-N-Out, and we were talking and reminiscing about our college days. Yes. And we were basically talking about how weird us artists are and the people that we went to school with, and how it translated later on in life in the workplace and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we went to this art school called Art Center College of Design here in Pasadena, California. And a lot of the reason why people go to our school is because it's known to be a very, very a taxing school.
Yeah, it's known to be difficult. And if you listen to our previous podcast episode about this, I forgot what it was called, but we talk about exactly how Art Center is and how it's perceived and the kind of person you are when you decide you want that.
So imagine you're an artist yourself and you decide you want to go to this kind of school, like this is what you want to do. You want to go to this school because you're going to die, and your teachers are going to whip you into shape, and you're going to have lots of sleepless nights. You go to this kind of school willing to sacrifice a lot in order to get good.
Yeah, you don't care what kind of brutal workload that they put on you. That's actually what you want.
The thing is, though, all of your classmates
are just like you. We are a little bit crazy people to kind of want that. And I realized that when we were talking about our classmates and the things that happened.
While the line was long, the car line was long, to just order the In-N-Out, we were both talking about how we usually would talk about, wow, we went to school with a lot of talented people. But then we had this, I think the conversation was heading towards, wow, we're also really crazy.
Yeah.
And then we realized that if you were the type of person to want to go to this school because you want the prestige and you want the sleepless hours and all of that, you're bound to bump into some interesting characters, right?
Yeah. And you were saying to I guess blow smoke up our own asses. You were like, oh, we're such brilliant people. And I was like, I'm not sure brilliant is the right word to use. We're like we really invested in certain skills, which means we gave up certain skills. Right. So we're kind of really dumb in certain respects, but we're also just abnormally really good at certain things. But all this to say,
there's a word that you really wanted to use, but I said we probably shouldn't use that word.
Can I use it?
I don't know.
Can I say it? It's a little bit offensive. I like to call us... Okay, maybe not. That was so bad. I regret everything.
Do you understand now?
Yeah, I understand now.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to bleep out the word, and then you can just leave the rest in. Okay, continue. I knew it. I knew you'd understand after you said it.
Oh, okay. But I mean, so Art Center really gathers these really interesting personality types all together. And what you need to understand if you are in school right now, most likely when you start working, and hopefully you'll be able to find work, whatever it is that you want to do in life, whether you want to be like me or if you want to be like Vincent, you will be working with your classmates. And something that I remember telling to a lot of people who've emailed me about like, oh, I think I'm more like you, and how do I deal with this? And I was like, well, how do you deal with it now while you're in school? Like these mean girl types that I talked about, I mean, they're in school with you, and you know them. I'm sure you know who those people are, and you deal with them. But we wanted to share our mean girl types and the people that we experienced in school.
Yeah.
And share our crazy stories.
So I guess we're going to talk, there's so many different types of people, especially when you go to a school like an art school. You meet so many eccentric people, but we just wanted to stick to 5 because there's so many. So I guess we'll start with somebody like me.
Yeah.
Somebody like me loves to please you. Someone like me really, really, really enjoys making you smile, because there's a huge part of it that involves, you know, our egos getting boosted. Every time people like me, I don't know, every time we're perceived as liked, it makes people like me, I don't know, really, really happy. Yeah, and you've observed this about me, right?
Yeah. I think so. I in order for it to be easily understood by someone like me, I like to label all of these different types of personalities archetypes, like in a movie, basically. Right. Like this kind of character or that kind of character. It's the easiest way for my brain to file these different types of people away. And like I haven't done this all my life until recently, but I realized like, oh, there are certain people who you've met before, like this was like your high school teacher, except you're meeting them again and they're a different person, but they're basically the same person. They have the exact same personality, the exact same wants, but they're different people physically, but they're the same. And people like you do tend to have a big ego, but you in particular, you like to temper it a lot. But
I do, because I always knew I've met a few people like me growing up in school. And the difference I've always actively tried to make, because I always fall into that trap too of like, ooh, filleting myself, you know what I mean? But I always felt, even when I was a kid, that like, oh, you should, like, that's ugly, don't do that, that's unbecoming. I would always think that, like, because I would see other people do it and I would hate it. Yeah. When other people are just like, you know, blowing smoke up their own ass.
Yeah. You're like,
but there's no
yourself.
doubt though, I enjoy, it's very, very pleasurable for me when I don't know, being liked. Yeah. So there's a lot of people like me.
Yeah, I think you're more fairly common, but you're still like a weirdo, because like everyone that we're going to talk about, every archetype that we're going to talk about, they are extremely competitive and extremely driven, which is why we were all herded into this school. So you're very driven, you're very competitive, but you're also a very good people pleaser. Yeah.
I am very competitive, but I definitely, I went to class. I had class with you once before, and with one of these other archetypes we're going to talk about. And I think we all share this desire to like just be excellent. Yeah. You know, you know it when you see it. To be great. And like I am absolutely like I was not the best student at all. But when a challenge came along that I really, really, really wanted to participate in, I definitely would dive head first into it, you know. But if it's something that I felt like wasn't worth it, like certain illustration classes, I would slack off like crazy, because I wouldn't feel like it's necessary. It's like how I felt about math. It's like I didn't want it. I'm like, I'm never gonna use this, and like congratulations, I never use it. Especially having you.
Oh my god.
I never need to use it.
You're basically the person that would like cheat off of me. Yeah. If you could in class.
Definitely.
It drives me insane when you don't care about something. You really don't care about something.
But when I do,
you really
I do
jump all into it.
So when I'm challenged, or when there's a challenge, like I always go like, okay, all right, I'm gonna bring it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that every battle is worth fighting. And the other archetypes, they feel differently about it. They think every battle is worth fighting. For me, it's too much. It's like shikamaru, man. Like what a bother. What a pain. But yeah, and whether or not people like me do good or bad things depends on what they perceive to be status or power, I'd say. And what I mean by that is
what is their want?
When I was younger, I wanted to be one of the big names in animation, right? I wanted to like at least like work in a really good, I had dreams of working in a really big studio and all that stuff. And what was I willing to do to get there? Would I betray people? Maybe. Depends on like I'm willing to like outweigh the costs and benefits of stabbing you in the back.
Right.
Maybe. Would I spread rumors about you? In my opinion, no. That's kind of unbecoming. Yeah. But other people kind of like me probably wouldn't mind.
Other people with your personality.
Other people with my personality type wouldn't mind. Yeah. But like it all depends on what someone like me thinks is like power, I guess. So for example, if it doesn't matter if it's money, if it's sex, if it's your job title, like I work at Disney or whatever it is that they want, they'll get it by any means necessary as long as it's what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how.
So like,
does that make sense?
Yeah. So I feel like I've met a lot of people like you in the industry because you tend to be a good people pleaser, and people with like you, everyone loves people like you. Like you are so good at making people feel like you're a good guy, you're so charismatic, you're all these things.
Well, I'm a Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I guess.
I wear that on my sleeve. I'm basically Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And like people who know Bill Clinton's history, yeah, no, you don't want to associate with Bill Clinton.
And so like the other people that I met who are exactly like you, they like, for example, some really want to get laid, let's just say that. And so their idea of what it means to have power is to be like, I'm gonna get all the ladies. I want to be in a position where I get all the ladies.
Yeah.
Some
people like to flaunt where they work. So, for example, you were just shopping in IKEA, and then you had your Disney badge out, and then all of a sudden, of course, someone exactly like me literally goes, "Oh, hey, you work at Disney? I work at Disney too."
He is
explain that, like just share that experience just for a little bit.
I mean, it was bizarre because so like everyone in these studios have these badges that give you access to the buildings, and we also tend to have little clips that attach to usually like your belt buckle or your pants to basically not lose it. Some people attach it to their keys, whatever. So mine was just hanging on the side of my pants, and then a Disney badge is spotted like a mile away because it's like bright blue, and he was like, "You work at Disney?" And then he came up to me and it was very weird. He was flaunting who he was because he was a pretty important person, and he was flaunting
who worked on a pretty important movie.
Yes, like the movie. Hint, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he was basically just like showing me his bank account and like talking to me about.
Wow, he like whipped out his bank account.
Yeah, it was strange. He like logged in.
How much money did he have?
A few million.
Whoa, for working on that movie.
And a bunch of movies and other gigs, yeah. And he was talking all sorts of things. And I think you said you think he was hitting on me, and I was like, I don't know, it sounded like he wanted to like start a company on his own and poach me or something. I don't know.
And yeah, I think so. Now that I think about it.
And so he went to great lengths to try to impress me, and he realized like I am not easily impressed.
No, you're not. If only he knew what type of person you were.
Yeah. I was like,
very difficult.
I'm just trying
to impress Jim. It's very, very hard.
I'm just trying to like buy some furniture at the IKEA. Like, leave me alone.
He looked at his bank account. Like, who does that?
Well,
Come on.
he was so like, man, nothing is impressing this girl. I need to show her how much money I have in the bank. Oh my god. But yeah, so, but then other people that I've met, like you, also, like this one, I think, used to work at DreamWorks. Very charismatic, very good at, like, presenting and all that stuff, and I feel like that person in particular used it to, like, get ahead. Mm-hmm. Like, he was very good at making the right people like him so that he can get a job or get a promotion or to, like, just I feel like for him, he wanted to be, like, impressive. He just wanted people to, like, admire him. Like, that was his idea of power and what he wanted. But you also, man, I was gonna, there was something really important. But you guys, your personality type, your archetype, I think it's more accurate to call it your archetype. The people pleasing mask is just a mask, and you're very, very good at hiding who you actually are underneath it all.
What are you talking about?
You're really good at hiding, like, so I always think it's funny when, like, we meet people at conventions or whatever, or like we have friends. Most people like you, and they hate me, and they think you're harmless, and they think I'm evil or whatever, and I'm just like, you don't understand. It's actually the opposite. You should fear the guy that's really good at tricking you into believing that you are a kind, good person.
I have no idea what you're saying right now. I have no idea. You know what? I'll tell you a story when I was little. When I was little, my mom took care of this blind lady named Miss Bernstein. And Miss Bernstein was a very, very nice blind lady. And she asked me one day, Vincent, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I told her, Miss Bernstein, I want to be a lawyer because I'm really good at lying. Little did I know that being a lawyer requires a lot of fucking work. But working in Hollywood requires the same set of skills, so that's why I work in Hollywood.
Yeah, you are so good that, like, I will know that you, like, hate the person you're talking to on the inside, but I watch you talk to them and you're like, hey, how's it going? I was like, wow, you're so good at hiding how you actually feel about a person. So people like you are dangerous.
Watch out.
Yeah. When my dad first met you, he was like,
your dad's smart. Your dad's a very smart man.
My dad is more perceptive than I am. But he was like, you need to be careful with him. And he was like, I don't know how to say this in English, but he's very good at talking. And I'm like, oh, I know what you mean. But he's not that kind. Yeah. Yeah. So be careful of the people who are very good at talking.
Yes, be very, very careful.
So the next archetype is based off of a classmate of ours who is pretty legendary in our school, in our time. And so a lot of the stories I want to talk about today, they revolve around, like, these three people that I graduated with, and my graduating class was a little bit insane. We well, first of all, it included me and these 3 people who all, like, we could name the studios they're working for now and like their credits, I guess, or whatever, but like it was a crazy graduating class and full of very intense, driven, competitive people. And this one, let's just call her Sandy.
Sandy. Good
Yeah.
old Sandy. I miss Sandy. Let's hang out again.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, continue.
She's,
sorry.
I like to consider her personality type the opposite of me. She's like me, but like not, I guess.
I think the only other person who I think is as impressive as you, who's just like brilliant, is this Sandy person that we both know.
And I asked Vincent in the car, have you ever met anyone like me before?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sandy had no. We didn't bring her up or anything, but you asked me that. You asked me like, so have you ever met somebody like me before who's just like, I remember you asked who you have, who you've never met before.
Yeah.
And then I thought, and I was about to say, I don't think I have, until I thought of Sandy. And I was like, oh, no. The only other person who I think is as brilliant, as talented, and as driven as you is Sandy. And you were like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But then I said, but she's the evil version of you, though.
And I was like, yeah, I can see that. And the reason why I asked Vincent this is because like Vincent's really good at filing people into categories of who he's met before, and he always tells me that like he's never, like, I'm very unique. Like I am like, you've never met a person like me before. And when I say like she's kind of like me, but like a little bit different, she's really, really hardworking and driven and competitive.
She's exactly like you in the hardworking department. She you said you took like 5 studio classes.
Yeah.
She's done that before on multiple terms.
Yeah.
You know, she's worked as hard as you.
Yeah, like, so the reason why I don't like say that like, oh, my graduating class was so crazy, including myself, oh, I'm like blowing smoke up my own ass. No, I don't mean that like to like pat myself on the back. I mean that literally, like, I'm known in school at the time to be like people know me because I'm like hardworking. Like, I don't necessarily think I'm talented or all that great or whatever, but I do work really hard. And she's the only person I think who probably works harder than me. And but she's a lot more smart when it comes to people than me too.
You're hopeless.
Yes.
When it comes to people.
Yes.
Absolutely hopeless.
And I think it comes down to this one thing where like she is willing to do things and say things in order to get what she wants. And I have more I guess principles to not, I won't, there are certain lines I won't cross. And so which makes her a little bit like, she's really charismatic. Like if you meet her, you like her.
She's so much fun to talk to.
Yeah.
But you could tell that like it never really feels like we're connecting here. Or if it feels like we almost are, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah. So and she has your ability to like to categorize people or to like evaluate people. Like she knows who you are when she meets you, like literally who you are. So like we were hanging out with her once, and the whole time, this was after we graduated, we were already working and stuff, and she was just like, it felt like she was evaluating us the whole time, like just taking note of how we are, what makes us tick, and everything.
So my history with this person was we basically got into school together, and we both took a few foundational classes together, and I'm very like, we've had a lot of in the trenches moments where we had to do a lot of crazy assignments, But she always was the most hardworking person out of all of us. Like, obvious, like every time we're in the class, it's like, oh, there's the A student. Where's the F student? I just want to be somewhere in between. Please. I just want to survive here. But she was always the A student. And there's a lot of, especially when you're young and you're really stupid, there's a lot of, projecting of your own insecurities onto other people, especially people who are like really good at school. So, somebody, I was a little bit jealous of like, oh, she's like showing us up or whatever. Like, I gotta work hard and I gotta show her up or whatever. It's just like that silly youthful competitiveness thing. But then, we all graduated. We grew up a little bit. And then I thought, whatever weird things I was holding on to regarding this person, I'm just going to let them go, because I acknowledge a lot of it was like me, being an insecure asshole or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I really respect this person because they work hard. So fast forward when we were both looking for work and all that stuff, and there's like so much that went on around this time. But when you and I were looking for work, she reached out and she was like, oh, you want to have dinner together? Which was
like,
wow,
out of the blue.
Like, wow, really? Like, aren't you like a really big shot person? Like, oh, you want to have dinner? And then we were like, yeah, of course. She knows us very well. She always, at least used to, when we used to table at CTN, would visit us. But when we had dinner with her, I sensed a lot of weird shit that I was like, oh yeah, this is why I think you're evil.
It all came back.
It all came back. I was like, oh, okay.
I remember you.
Yeah, I remember you. I remember you from school.
If you're interested in all things audiobooks and podcasts, I have an audiobook recommendation for you. I highly recommend Robert Cialdini's Influence. And if you don't have an Audible subscription already, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast, where you will get 1 free audiobook and 2 free Audible original audiobooks, so 3 free audiobooks in total. So that's audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast.
So my strategy, knowing this too, I knew she was going to come in, like, if she is still the person I think she is, I need to be on guard by the time she comes in. So my version of, like, you watch out for people like me. Like, one of my favorite pet things to do is to be aloof.
Yeah.
So I was like, I appeared to look like straight out of the shower, like not giving a shit about what was going on. Clearly you and Sandy were in the corner over there. I'm like putting lotion in my fucking face. But like from the very moment, I could tell like the conversation you were having with her was already pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, I am not hiding anything ever in my words. And I think perceptive people can tell that I literally am incapable of lying.
She can't.
I can't.
I'm really good at it, and yeah, she cannot. She cannot.
So, like, if you ask me a lie, like a white lie, a simple lie, I can't.
Yeah.
I physically cannot. There are so many like party games or like board games that require lying.
Be deceptive. Yeah. You're
I
awful
am
at those. We
always,
lose.
Yeah. I always get like called out, or like I lose the game first usually, because they're like, you look suspicious. Come on, like you're like shifting your eyes, you're like sweating. Sometimes when I feel like I got away with a lie, I look like I got away with a lie. Everyone's like, Janet, stop lying. But yeah, so she it seemed like she was trying to, she had some kind of ulterior motive. Oh, and like before, like, so I graduated with her. She's always been like really nice to me. And I realized, like, oh, she's not like this to anyone else. And it's because people like her know, like, if you are competition, you need to be kind to, and you want to be friends with your competition. But I never really saw her as my competition. I just never really see anyone as my competition.
Yeah, I really think you compete with yourself.
Yeah.
Mostly.
So I always was like, oh, she's nice. I don't know why you hate her or why people hate her.
And then people like me would always say, you don't understand. Yeah. You don't understand. She's always plotting something. I don't have any proof, but I can see it. Yeah. I can read her mind. I can see it in her mind.
And that was the first instance.
And then I would always think like, oh, I'm so crazy for thinking that. And I'd feel a little ashamed. And then when we had dinner with her, I was just like, there's that feeling again. There's that feeling again.
That was the first time I felt it. And I was like,
oh, because you were, what was different about it this time?
Yeah, you were there.
Oh, what about me being there made it different?
I think there's something about me that allows people to drop their guard because they realize I'm not hiding anything from them, like at all. So I think with her, she's so perceptive of who everyone she meets is. I think she knew me in school, and I think of all the interactions we've ever had, I think she realized like I don't have any ulterior motives ever, and if I do, you can spot it a mile away. And so I think she always treated me very like she thought of me like herself, like, oh, I'm one of her, like, and so
oh, this is my kohai.
Yeah. This is like a
mini me.
Yeah,
basically.
Like a mini me, but then she was also, it felt a little bit like she knew that I'm principled and you can hurt me. Like I am vulnerable because I don't hide anything. Like you can pick me apart, and eventually you'll get to a place where you can like, hurt me. It's the best way I can describe it. Like I allow myself to be vulnerable and open, and I don't really hide my motives, I guess. So like people can take advantage of that. Whereas she's like the opposite. Like she will never let you know what she's up to because she's very guarded.
But she was thinking like, oh, there's no corrupting this one.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
Like I just, yeah. And so like in this like dinner, it felt like the whole time
we tried to be as hospitable and as like just easygoing and fun, and I think we actively tried not to talk about work. We were just talking like friend, like catching up talk,
like,
you know.
How's it been? All this
How's life?
Time, yeah.
And then it turned into an interesting, really, really dramatic conversation.
Yeah, she started like sharing some dirt
on certain people in animation.
And it felt like the whole time she was evaluating whether or not we would be useful for spreading rumors, basically, because she and these other groups of people have like beef with each other, I guess. And she was basically like, I know them. We're kind of friends from college, and I want to see like they're working, so like they can spread rumors. These rumors. And she told us some crazy messed up stuff that happened.
It was really messed up. It was just like, I don't know how to explain it. Like the plot of some, I don't know,
Korean drama,
I guess.
Like I wish I could share the details. It's really
inappropriate.
Yeah.
I hope that entices you and drives you crazy that we can't share it with you, but it's really inappropriate to talk about on camera.
Yeah. Like I think it's demonetizable how inappropriate it is.
And these are people who work in animation too.
And people we know from school. And so she went all the way just to
she went from 0 to like 100 in terms of like, I'm comfortable to share this with you.
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
This is a lot to drop on our laps.
This seems like you wanted to have dinner just so
to tell us this.
but it has like nothing to do with us. I was like, what?
Why?
Is it 'cause
And like the reason why I don't think we're very useful to her is that we don't care to play the game anymore. Yeah, we're so like based on the like we said, we lived here. A lot of like these three people, they're not from LA.
Yeah.
No, they're totally not from here. They're all trying to play the game. You and I mean, like, you're not that far from Hollywood. I lived right there. It's just, you know, it is what it is. We're able to look at it with, you know, without any rosy lenses, but these people are really competitive when it comes to climbing the ladder.
And so she was trying to spread this rumor, and then after the fact, like after she got that off her chest, I guess, then it finally felt like we were hanging out.
Yeah. It felt like she was waiting for that one moment.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of really having fun, and we were hanging out and talking. But that was a very interesting conversation. But like, again, you know, I had a funny feeling about her coming over, and I now know why she came over.
Yeah, and like the reason why she wanted to spread this rumor was because she was getting back at these people who wronged her and spread rumors about her, apparently.
Right.
And these are people we'll get into.
Yeah.
But she... so yeah, you call her the evil version of me because she's willing to do this. Like if I was like, yeah, if that were me in that situation, if someone had like spread rumors about me,
you wouldn't put yourself in a situation where you're going to spread rumors using other people.
Yeah,
you wouldn't do that.
Like I would just take it because I'm too. That's not a line I'm willing to cross. If someone wronged me, I would just forgive them and like not associate with them ever again, but I'd be like, I'm not gonna go and like enact some kind of revenge because that is not okay in my book. But yeah, so this is a person who is still working in Hollywood right now because if you, like you were saying that like people don't understand that I'm the one that quit.
Yeah, that means something, don't you think? Do you think somebody who's evil and conniving would leave working at Disney? Like, are you kidding me? Like, who are you kidding?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's like if you are like afraid of me, or if you think I'm evil or whatever,
the people you should be afraid of are hiding
in
right
Hollywood.
in front of you. They're hiding right in front of you.
So then now this next person, let's call her Jocelyn.
Oh, Jocelyn.
Yes. She is like what I call the classic mean girl. In this group of people, she was really shallow and mean. Like she would judge me based on my appearance and how much you are useful to her immediately right off the bat, and then she depending on what she ends up with, she will either like ignore you or you're like her new best friend.
Yeah, Sandy would take the time to analyze you and really figure out what makes you tick.
Yeah.
But Jocelyn will completely make one quick swift evaluation and be like, useful, not useful.
Yeah. So when I first met her, it was actually Sandy who introduced me, which is hilarious. And she did the thing where she like looked me up and down. And she was like, hey, Jocelyn, meet my friend Janet. She looked me up and down and then went, how are you, Sandy? And like completely ignored me the entire conversation. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, I see what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, though, this is the kind of person who, you know, it's not very smart to do something like that because you basically burned a bridge right when you met someone. And like when you are suddenly worth
but they
something,
think it's like cool.
Yeah.
And they think it's powerful,
a power move
to be
or something.
cold
Yeah.
or whatever. But as soon as you become useful, like for example, when in this graduation evaluation class, a lot of people recognize that you make animatics, and all of a sudden you became very, very, very useful to a lot of people. And all of a sudden, some of these people went up to you and go like, "Hey, who'd you reach out to? Which studios did you reach out to?"
Yeah. So like, another reason why I'm like an abnormal person that came from Art Center is because no one from Art Center becomes a storyboard artist. Very few even make animatics, basically like little movies out of drawings. And I had a bunch of animatics that I had for my grad show, and every time someone sees my animatics, they're immediately like overly impressed in my eyes. I'm like, you shouldn't be this impressed by this. It's not that hard.
No, but when you go to a school like ours, everyone draws really pretty pictures and paintings. So when you see something move, it's like
oh, you actually made a movie.
Yeah.
And so I would get a lot of attention from teachers and stuff that are like, oh, you're something special. You didn't just paint a picture. You told a story. And when that would happen, suddenly she was like, oh, hey Janet, so what studios have you been applying to? Have you been talking to? I was like, I don't know you like that. What the heck? You blew me off so incredibly rudely when I first met you like a year ago or whatever, and you were like sucking up to like Sandy, and I'm like, suddenly I'm your best friend? No, this doesn't work like that. I don't trust you. You're everyone that I didn't like.
What
growing
frustrates
up.
me about these people is that, like, man, you really think you're playing Game of Thrones or House of Cards here.
Yeah.
You're really living out some sort of drama, but like, this is so for cartoons. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on, man.
So when I mean she's like the classic mean girl that, like, I'm sure you all have met someone like this in your life because they're not very rare. They're fairly common. Is that she's kind of shallow. It's like you didn't know anything about me before you made an assumption about whatever I am worth to you. And like, but to give her credit, she is very talented in when she does like you feel like you mean the world to her. She's really good at kissing up to the right people to get what she wants. And I would see it firsthand, and I'd go like, wow, you have a skill I do not have. And she legitimately is a fairly good painter and artist.
A really quick story about Sandy, though. When we were at CTN, I think it was CTN 2017. CTN 2017, Sandy came up to us and was catching up, you know, and I guess we asked her, because we love to ask this to everyone, especially our classmates. Oh, hey, how is it with dating?
Oh, yeah.
And then she said something like I'm too busy with training to date right now, or something like that. And I really thought, like, so that's the kind of person you are, huh? Instead of having love or having someone to love, you want to draw good. So yeah, these are the kinds of people who are like, oh, I want to draw the best hand, the best figure in the world. Like, these people are sacrificing things
that normal people don't.
Wouldn't sacrifice. Yeah.
I could relate with that. When I don't know if I was there or if I was somewhere else, but I think you told me that or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I was kind of like that too. Which is why, again, she's kind of like the evil version of me. When I had decided to make my 10-year plan, and I had all these goals, and I'm gonna be the best that ever was. I also had something like that. I was like, I don't think I will ever get married. I don't think I'm gonna date the entire time I'm like studying until I get what I want. Because I thought like that is not a good trade-off. Like, if I want what I want, then I can't let anything distract me. And she had the same sentiment. She was like, it's a distraction.
Yeah, but she's probably loving that I have no bad feelings about talking about this person because she's probably loving every minute of this.
Yeah.
And we're very, very sure she's listened and actually loves
Oh yeah.
this podcast.
I think we could be friends.
Yeah, come
We can
on,
hang out.
let's hang out. It's not like we give a shit about the industry anymore.
It's not like
So you could tell
yeah.
us all the dirt.
Yeah.
You could tell us all the dirt that we could share on the podcast. That'd be so great. Come on, Sandy. You know who you are. What do you think she's missing out on?
Love.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, is that what she's missing out on?
Yeah. Like, I think the reason why someone like me would think that when you're young is like you're so willing to sacrifice those things. And I think at a certain point when I was still crazy and like career driven, I felt this tinge of like, did I make the wrong decision? Did giving up these things that are emotional and things that I thought were unimportant and a distraction, were they actually more important than I could have ever known? And like that's something that I felt. I don't know. I don't think she feels that at all, actually, even now.
No. I think even like, I don't know. I think she's really happy where she's at.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to Jocelyn, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So Jocelyn, I have another story about her. I have a lot, actually. But this one, we have this other friend. Let's call her Catherine. She was dating this other person who was a big shot Disney person at the time, and they went to the wrap parties. And if you don't know what that is, basically every time a production wraps, productions have wrap parties, and the more prestigious and big the production is, the bigger and more crazy the party tends to be. So in TV, where I've been at, the wrap parties are fun, I guess, but they're not like super crazy. In feature, it gets crazier because they have bigger budgets, they're more prestigious, it's a whole gala stupid thing. And usually if you're on the production, you're allowed to bring like a +1 or whatever, usually your significant other, whatever. So Catherine was a +1 for this wrap party for her partner at the time, and then she sees Jocelyn
At the party? Oh, whoa. I don't know this story. Continue.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure if I know this story.
And they come up to them and start like chit-chatting, mingling, the whole stupid thing that you do.
Who was telling the story? Did Catherine tell you the
Oh,
story?
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so like Jocelyn goes straight up to Catherine's boyfriend and was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Like really like talking him up and like, "Oh, I haven't seen, like, how work the other day was so hard, whatever." And then
oh God, no.
Yeah. And then like completely ignoring Catherine. And then she finally turns towards Catherine and goes like, "Oh, what are you doing here?"
Oh God, no! I can't believe that's real.
Yeah.
Oh,
And like
I can imagine Catherine saying, "You know what she said? Can you believe what this bitch said?"
I'm like, no, she's so wow. Okay, and so she basically it kind of seemed like she was flirting with her boyfriend right in front of her.
So she didn't know?
I don't know if she cared.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And then she completely ignored, even though she was right there. And then like she, according to Catherine, like really didn't care like about what she had to say. She immediately turned back to like the Disney people and started chatting them up some more, completely blowing her off. And then I remember Catherine telling like, doesn't she know that like he's my boyfriend and like we're gonna talk about this after the fact? Like, is that not obvious?
I could hear that in her voice. I love that shit. Yeah. It's so funny. It's crazy.
Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Why are you telling me this? But go on.
Go on, please.
And then I was Catherine basically was like, she just keeps burning bridges like that. Just it seems benign, but it's so kind of insulting, and like you can see her manipulative like claws. It's so obvious.
I respect Sandy so much because she's really good at what she does.
You don't know she's manipulating
she's like a ninja.
you.
Yeah, she's like super good at it. Like I can recognize that.
Yeah.
Why I have very little respect for Jocelyn is because you're so sloppy. You're like, if you're a ninja, you're like the worst ninja in the world.
Yeah, which is why we both think Jocelyn, compared to all the other people, haven't gone very far in her career comparatively.
I think you, me, and the three other people. I mean, I think we all got what we wanted except for Jocelyn. I got what I wanted. You got what you wanted.
Yeah.
I think Sandy got what she wanted. I think the last person got what he wanted. But I don't think Jocelyn ever got what she wanted, because that's what you get. That's what happens.
That's what you get when you go around burning bridges like that.
Yeah.
Like just insulting and belittling anyone you think isn't worth your time. It's just like, wow, you know a lot. I don't know if she knows that a lot of people don't like her, and it's not like all the rumors floating around about God knows probably everyone. I don't even know, maybe there are rumors about me, I don't know, and I'm just like, man, like for her it's like I know for the fact that like no one likes you because you just go around just burning bridges. So this Jocelyn worked in conjunction with this next person, basically to spread rumors about Sandy. So this next person, let's call him Alvin.
I know very little about this person.
Well, I graduated with him, and this archetype is very, very, very good at making you think that he's an angel. Kind of like you, in a way, where like he's.
But I think I'm willing to shed that like I'm rough around the edges.
Yeah.
No, this person would assume needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
Appear perfect.
Yeah, he seems like if you ever meet a person like this, he's very, very good at being kind and liked, and there you don't think that there could ever be a bad bone in his body, and he comes across that way, but it's all fake, because he's actually, in my opinion, the most vicious of everyone, because he is the one who legitimately like tried stabbing like Sandy in the back, basically, and went through a lot of things, especially during graduation, where I think everyone is going a little crazy and can't think straight. Did a lot of weird competitive asshole-ish things, in my opinion. But he's also, again, very driven and very, very, very competitive. And he's the kind of person that will, again, very good at evaluating who you are and what you're all about, and deciding whether you're useful or useless, competition or a nobody. And he's a lot more callous than someone like Sandy, for example, where he's willing to step on you to get ahead. Like, he's willing to eliminate you to get ahead. So there was another CTN. I don't remember if this is the same CTN.
So much drama happens at CTN.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's crazy. We're all just trying to get work.
So much drama happens at CTN and behind the scenes at CTN. It's a mess.
So I was
happy CTN. Yeah. Happy CTN. I hope everyone's having a fantastic online whatever.
I'm so glad I never have to go to that stupid thing ever again. But so I was talking to a friend of mine. I haven't thought of a good nickname for her, so I'll just say a friend of mine. But randomly, like Sandy.
Let's call her Ye.
Okay.
Ye.
Okay. Ye.
Like Kanye. Ye.
Yeah.
Ye.
So
he's clever because Ye.
Yeah, I'm just chatting with Ye, and she was we're just talking about nothing. We're just like, CTN is also kind of like a reunion for a lot of us, because we don't see our classmates all the time. So like, it's kind of like, oh wow, everyone's back together in the same tent. So I was talking to her, catching up, and then Sandy comes randomly just to join in on this conversation, I guess. And then Ye and her have like an intense like whisper conversation. And Ye's like, "Oh, Sandy, did you hear about this?" And then Sandy's like, "What?" And then they start whispering, and I'm like, "What is going on here?" And then Sandy walks.
This was at CTN?
Yeah,
was
this
on our
is
table.
this. I think so. You were probably like shopping your portfolio around or something. You were probably not there. And then like Sandy walks away, and then you come back, I think. Like Ye walks away too, and then you come back, and I'm like, the strangest thing happened. And I explained to you what went down. You're like, okay, that's weird. And then Sandy comes back and was like, so apparently, according to Ye, Alvin has been spreading rumors about me. And like, do you two know about this? And I'm like, and we were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We have no idea what you're talking about. And she was like, oh, okay. But then, so she said, she went up to Alvin, and I like confronted him. I was like, were you spreading rumors about me? Like, I know for a fact that you were because Ye told me. And then Alvin was like, no, completely lied to her face.
Oh, damn.
Completely lied to her face.
Couldn't even own that shit.
Yeah, like immediately when confronted. And then another story, the three of them, we all graduated the same year. So in our graduation, we have, again, in our school, a lot of one-upsmanship going on. So these three were really competing for like the front wall, which is like
the most coveted thing that you want when you graduate our school. Basically, everybody enters the grad show. Well, it's the orientation is different now, but how it used to be was everyone goes into the school through this one entrance, and then they basically have 2 hallways to go down, and the person who has front wall gets to be basically the first thing all the guests see.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so coveted.
Yeah, and we have to build our walls. Basically, we have to mount everything and like make sure it looks good. And you can imagine that like people really they go to the next level when building their walls. They make structures, they make crazy things, they have TVs, they have this. So like it takes about a week or two to build all this stuff, and we're always like a little bit like sleep deprived and pissy at each other when we're like trying to just build the wall, and there's like an unnecessary like competitiveness in the air, and I'm just there like putting up my TV, like don't mind me, like I'm just little me trying to graduate. and then like apparently Sandy and Alvin got into it a little bit about who gets
so
the
define
lights.
What's into it. Like what, they were on a shouting match?
Yeah, something like that.
Dang, in the middle of the night when they were you guys were setting
yeah,
up?
I think so.
Dang.
And so in like the school has like gallery lights, they're like spotlight type things in the ceiling, and then they were basically arguing about who gets the lights. And I think Sandy was like, can't we just split it in half, like you get some and I get some, and apparently like Alvin was like, no
Absolutely not, no.
Yeah, I want all of them. I deserve it.
I want all of them, Sandy. There is no sharing in this.
And then same period of time, I had set up my TV to play my animatics, and he had a TV as well. And he went up to me with his like really like kind, good demeanor, and was like, "Hey Janet, how do you put up the TV?" And then I was like, "Oh, you just put it up. I don't understand. You have like the back plate thing, and then you just drill it into the wall with some anchors and stuff." And then I saw his mask fall really, really fast, and I saw like he evaluated me as someone who was useful to him because I knew how to put up a TV, I guess. And then he wanted to tell me my process. So he wanted like to figure out how to do something, like take my knowledge, I guess, as if why would I hide it, I guess. And then he then realized like, oh, you're useless to me because I'm not gonna like help you do it. Like, I'm just gonna explain to you how I did it and I'm just gonna go on my merry way. Like, I don't and then when I saw that he thought I was useless, he gave me a really like interesting look. The only way I can describe it was he looked at me like I was useless. I don't know how else to describe it.
Well, how would you draw it? Like a character looking...
Like annoyed that like I didn't give him the right answer. Like really annoyed at me, I guess. And then, which is very shocking because
this person's usually really
like an angel,
like a saint.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, you're kind of scary. I think I don't know what your motive is here, but like I'm just gonna go. Okay. And yeah, he's a terrifying person. Why? Like because he's so good at having this mask.
And then there's you.
And then there's me.
Yeah. You are unlike any of these people, and the closest person you're like is Sandy.
Yeah. I'm really driven and I'm really competitive. But the difference is that I'm principled, and that because I'm principled, I'm a little bit rude or critical. So I'm not a very likable person, I think, to most people, until they realize like I have no ulterior motive or meanness behind my words.
Yeah, I really don't like how people don't like you for the right reasons. You are the most unlikable person I've ever met. But I really don't like how people think, oh, Janet is such a awful person because she's so judgmental and she thinks she's so much smarter than everybody, and she thinks she works harder than everybody, all this stuff that we would project onto Sandy, right? But the thing is, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that at all.
No. I would like to describe it as, so this is what like we argue about all the time. I have a bad habit of wondering why people aren't living up to their potential. And I go like, man, I know these people are really smart and really capable. Why don't they just do this one thing and they would achieve the things that they want to achieve? Like, I don't understand. Like, why? Like, I expect so much from people, and I expect too much from people. I guarantee you, my expectations for you are higher than your expectations for yourself.
Yeah, so if you want to hate Janet, hate it for the right reasons. That she expects so much from you and you're constantly disappointing her.
Meanwhile,
that's why you should dislike Janet.
Yeah. The reason why I seem judgmental, and a lot of people who work with me feel like I think lowly of them. That's not the case at all. I think highly of everyone, like too highly. And I expect great things from people. And that is why people constantly disappoint me.
And then we fight because I tell you all the time, you need to keep that shit at 0. You need to let people build up to something, because if you keep them in like 100% baseline, you're just gonna constantly be disappointed by people.
Yeah. And which I think it's actually better if you looked at people like you do, where you basically set the bar real low. Really low. So anything above that bar, it's like, oh yay, you did basic human things.
Yeah. You went from just normal uncaring to slightly respectable because you like animals. Yeah. Keep trying to impress me. You're getting more points.
He kept saying, like, stop projecting your intelligence on other people.
Yeah, stop that.
And I was like, what do you mean? This isn't intelligence. This is just common sense. This is just like, I'm not intelligent. Like, you mean to tell me people don't know these things?
You're not intelligent. Like, you run your own business. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, most people don't even know where to start. I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, all of these skills that you have, finance. Like, who listens to finance? For fun. Who listens to Dave Ramsey for fun? That doesn't make any sense. No young person's like that, usually. You're the only person I know who actually gives a shit about finance, let's say, or running a business, or how the stock market works.
So, I guess, like I said...
Or how to flip houses.
Yeah. Yeah. All that excites me for some reason. But, I was talking to you about, like, why is it that someone like Sandy would be able to, like, let her guard down with someone like me? And then I was like, I wonder if it's because, just like you said, when you first met me, you were really, like, taken aback by the fact that I never feel like there's an ulterior motive to what I say or do. And then you would project, like, as if I was. If I did, you would project yourself onto me, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same thing I see other people online do, where
to me
they think, oh, she has some super scheme master plan, and I would always think that too, because I met so many people like Jocelyn and Sandy at school, so I just thought you were one of those, but I immediately thought, like, oh, you're one of those, but you don't have a motive. Your motive is simply to be excellent.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, wow. So you're telling me, because every time I met a hardworking person, they're the same type of people who could stab you in the back. Mm-hmm. You're the first person I met at school who was excellent, but wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. And I think, like, I always, again, like, for some reason, when I was working, had the weird ability to, like, have people open up to me. And this was always the case growing up. And I wonder if it's because that I'm just completely, like, at the very least, if you're gonna hate me, like, you know I'm an asshole. You know what kind of asshole I am. You know exactly what I am. People don't know who you are. People don't know who any of these other three are, really, who they actually are.
And I think we do what we do super well in Hollywood because we're able to do all this stuff, and that's why you had to eject yourself from the industry, because you were like, oh, I can't work with all of you fucking fake assholes.
Yeah. You're driving me crazy. Yeah, and I think because I really I'm just, like, who I am, I think it makes it really, really hard to be around me, be my friend or whatever, and still lie and still keep up that mask. Because why? I'm not gonna, like, there's no reason to with me, because I'm just like, I'm okay with
you
everything.
Explained something like Sandy wouldn't stab you in the back because one, it would be useless, but two, it's like...
It would hurt her, too.
But explain that again.
I think the reason why someone like Sandy wouldn't stab me in the back, whereas someone like Alvin would, is because I think Sandy sees a lot of herself in me, except I'm, like, a more vulnerable version of her. Like, she never lets her guard down. She will never let anyone close enough to hurt her, and and therefore she will never trust you with anything important. Not really. So, but, like, with me, I don't care. I'll just tell you, and I trust that, like, you're not gonna do that.
And if Alvin hurts your feelings, he's like, whatever.
Yeah, but with Sandy, I think she might see me as like a weaker version of herself. Like, if you were to have, like, a younger sister or something that is just didn't know the ways of the world yet, and you're just like, what? If she did that to me, I think she would knowingly make me like her, a little bit more, like, tough, a little bit more like she knows what she's doing. Whereas I think Alvin would just, like, look at someone like me and be like, that's weakness. I will end you. the fact that you have emotions and are willing to allow someone to be vulnerable like that, that's the perfect spot to go ching. Yeah.
Well, so for all the people who are super excited to work in animation, who went to all these great schools, take all these amazing schoolism classes, how do you spot this stuff? Because they don't teach you this in school.
This is really good that we encountered these types of people in school, because when I started working, it became really easy to spot these types of people in the workplace. Yeah. And there are 3 things that you need to look out for. One, the first one, the biggest one, is if people are overly nice to you when you start working.
Always be alarmed when someone is really, really, really nice to you.
If they come up to you, in Hollywood specifically, if they come up to you and they're like, hey, how are you? My name is, they introduce themselves to you, but I'm talking about overly nice, not normal nice, just they want to be your best friend or whatever.
Yeah, there's this fake courteous, polite Hollywood thing. That's not that.
No.
We're talking about I want to be your buddy.
Yeah.
When someone's like, I want to be your buddy, you immediately have to think, why are you trying to be my buddy?
Yeah. Because, again, of these other personalities, the single umbrella that, when they are nice to someone, it's because they see you as competition or someone to, bring down.
Right.
Or at least keep an eye on, which is just weird. Every single time that's happened to me with people in Hollywood, I'm always what do you know about me? Who, you know me because I'm friends with so-and-so, whatever, but why are you being so nice to me?
Especially if they know a lot about you.
Yeah.
I remember hanging out with Sandy that one time. She would say stuff that would make you and I go, how'd you know that?
Yeah, how do you know that about me?
How do you know that? How do you know that without looking into us before hanging out with us or something?
It's very strange. But people do that. That's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
People will know where you've worked, who you know, and if they treat you a certain way, they know oh, you're friends with so and so, aren't you? And I'm yes, but creepy. Or you never know. You never know what they want from you. And this is a term that I like to use. There's no free lunch. So, especially in Hollywood, if someone does something nice for you, it's not free. They will want something in return for that good deed later on. You don't know how later on, but one day they're going to ask for a favor in return. And yeah. And those are, in my opinion, the scariest people to look out for. I don't like people who are overly nice.
Hey, come on, let's grab lunch together. I'll pay.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to say.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? I want a free lunch.
Yeah.
I like free lunch.
And then the second one that's not as dangerous but frustrating are the people who ignore you. Who basically, they do the thing where they look you up and down, they give a quick judgment of who you are. They basically determined you are not worth their time, and you're not worth anything. You're you're an ant to them that they want to stomp on, and they ignore you. They never acknowledge you. They give you the cold shoulder. They're really rude to you. Never. I've had people who have never said hi to me. And I know they know who I am. I know,
they
you see me.
try to not say hello to you.
Yeah. And, I would say these are, the producer types, the showrunner types, anyone who's really into ladder climbing type tend to do this.
Oh, ant. Let the ant do the ant thing.
Yeah. It's infuriating, but... I mean, if you want to ignore me, that's fine. You just told me you're an asshole. I don't want to be friends with you anyways. So, cool. And then the last one is just fairly average. They acknowledge you. It's the person that's hey, they say hi to you. They're not overly nice. They just treat you courteously, which is the most you can ask for. And this kind of person can be any of these types of people, but like at the very least it's like, oh, you're at least acting like a normal human being. And we can just be. We don't have to be friends. I actually prefer that we're not friends.
Well, also, one of Hollywood's favorite pastimes is to talk shit. We'll talk lots and lots and lots of shit.
Anyone who tells you that people in Hollywood don't are lying to you.
They're fucking lying to you, and they're probably talking shit about you behind your back.
Oh my god.
So yeah, lots of people in Hollywood love to talk shit because a lot of them are insecure assholes.
Yes.
But because a lot of people like to talk shit, pay attention to how people talk shit. Do people criticize their work ethic? When it gets really low, when people criticize the way people look or how they come into work, how they smell, how they look like, their accent, whatever it is, like just a lot of nastiness can go on. Yeah. But be aware of this because, if you're networking and you want to network with these types of people, just understand that they're talking that much shit about you to other people.
Yeah.
Like, because they're doing that to other people doesn't mean you're not immune to being talked shit about yourself. So you can have a fun old time talking shit about Mike over there, but like as soon as you're gone, they're talking shit about you.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So a lot of the times when I talk shit, it's because I know, and I'm very deliberate about when I talk shit about people at work, because if they went by, I would talk shit about that person to their fucking face. Yeah. Yeah. I do it so rarely though. I want to say I don't do it. I hardly do it. I try to avoid it. But when I do, and I'm sure a few people know, when I've done it, it's because I fucking meant it.
Yeah.
Like I fucking meant it.
Yeah.
And then don't be fooled. Everybody does this. It's like high school just doesn't end.
It doesn't.
I promise you. So however you deal with high school now is going to be how you're going to be dealing with with work politics later on in the future.
I honestly think it's pretty bad, particularly in animation, because I mean, a certain kind of person becomes an artist to draw cartoons, and I think a lot of people in animation are like emotionally stunted. And I think they're particularly immature and insecure. But and compared to like other fields that I've worked in, I really feel like that's true. And these people, like, for example, I was basically asking around because I had the opportunity to potentially work on this one show, and lo and behold, like once you start working, if you have choices, there are certain shows you don't want to work on and certain shows you do want to work on, not because of the prestige, maybe because of the prestige, but usually because of the people who are on it.
The crew.
And some people are notoriously bad at their jobs, I want to say, and people know. People talk.
People talk.
And
oh God! If you only knew what we all said about Shira, fuck.
Oh God, yeah.
Jesus Christ! Well, I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Nope. But yeah. So I was asking around about the crew and about the person I would be potentially working under, and not good things, specifically about talking shit. I heard that, like, oh, this person talks a lot of shit, but then that's how you know no one is off limits. She is going to talk a lot of shit behind your back the moment you walk out that door. And yeah, very scary person. And like, so usually you witness interesting dynamics between people when they talk shit too. Like sometimes people only talk shit amongst like their group, and then they act like a certain way in front of them.
A lot of people, especially the older ones, they don't talk shit. They shade people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the way some of the older people do. They don't, like, engage in the stupid tomfoolery the youngsters do, but they do say, like, that person,
Yeah, but as a young person who might not be aware, I'm like, I don't know. Tell me more.
I see.
I can't infer what that look means. I'm sorry. But yeah, once you've been working long enough and you've made enough friends that you trust, you start, I guess, talking shit in your own right, but it's really just to protect yourself, to be like, I don't want to work for an asshole.
I don't believe, like, I think every company there's a certain amount of shit talk that goes on, because it's like employee 101, especially if you want to climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make yourself look good and make sure your competition looks bad.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen it before. Like a lot of the people who don't work want to believe that kind of stuff doesn't happen. We've all seen that before, in some shape or form.
Yeah.
Right? Am I over exaggerating?
Yeah, I think it's everywhere, and I think it's a natural part of climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
And
if that's what you want to do, then that's the kind of dirt you're going to engage in.
Yeah, and I think, certain people thrive with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it is really useful to befriend these different archetypes: the Alvin archetype, the Sandy archetype, the Vincent archetype, and
if you can find one.
very rare, and the Jocelyn archetype. Because
you don't really need to be friends with the Jocelyn archetype.
Because specifically in Hollywood, it does a certain thing for you. When you are associated with these people see you as like a squad, I guess. And there is a certain notoriety and amount of respect you get if you are in this kind of friend group, in this kind of weird
squad
allegiance,
right.
but not allegiance,
yeah.
With each other. And that's why they like take pictures with each other, and they go out to lunch together, and they feign this weird kind of friendship together that's not, like, clearly we know some shit, like they're not friends.
No.
And it's like it's useful if you want to climb that ladder, if you want this weird like vanity of being part of the squad or whatever. And it is in a way protection, because sometimes they do find each other work. They do, like, again, no good deed goes unnoticed. Like, if they help each other find work, then like the other one will always keep that in mind. It's like a favor to cash in one day.
Hollywood, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah, it's a wonderful industry. We treat you so well. We pay you so well. Free lunches, especially at Netflix and DreamWorks. Such a fantastic place to work. So amazing.
No.
Man.
Stop lying.
I heard Cutie's almost up for an Oscar or something like that.
God.
Man, good for you, Netflix.
Oh my God.
Fantastic work, Netflix.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, which, again, with this whole, like, it's kind of useful to be part of the squad, which it really infuriates me, is that these so-called galleries that have become a thing in LA, these pop culture galleries, where it's basically just started by people who from these studios and just filled it with their friends' artwork, and then it became this like, oh wow, this crazy gallery, let's go see their work. But it's all just nepotism, and it's gross because it's the same people showing their art all the time. It has nothing to do with skill. It's about who you know. And if you're willing to bow down before the squad. And I was like, God, I hate this. Why does this exist? And then I was like, my brain was about to explode.
There's some form of that in every gallery.
And then you said that.
Yeah.
And I was
There's
like,
some shade of that in the galleries in Beverly Hills and in Laguna and everywhere.
Like,
everywhere.
Not just the pop culture galleries.
Everyone has their own group of gatekeepers. And you gotta bow down to the gatekeepers. Isn't that what you want? Don't you want fame and fortune? Don't you want fame and fortune? Bow down before your master.
When you said that, I was like ranting, and then I was like, I'm so goddamn naive. Why am I like this? Why did I expect that, like, oh, it's just these pop culture galleries full of all the people that we hate? And then I was like, you were like, oh, all the galleries are like that. I was like, you're right. I hate everything. God. Oh, God, it infuriates me. God, I basically just can't do anything. I can't do anything without bowing down to someone, I guess.
Yeah.
Except this right here. So our recommendation for the week is A Fish Called Wanda.
What?
And this is a comedy movie that I think everyone should watch because it is hilarious and more funny than any comedy I've seen lately.
I'd love for a movie as funny as that to come out. It hasn't been one in a long time.
I died watching this movie. It was so good.
We were desperately trying to look for a comedy one night, and then we went through a whole list of movies, and then we tried playing this one, and we were thinking like, oh, this looks so silly, but then after the first 15 minutes, we were just laughing. And then the 15 minutes turned to 30, and then we were watching the whole movie, and it was just so good, so funny.
So watch it and take notes and really try to figure out what about this comedy is really, really good, especially compared to comedy these days.
And try to replicate it. Please try. We want to watch something funny.
Yeah.
Let us know what you make and then leave it in the comments down below.
So make sure to like, subscribe, check out all our other episodes over here. Head over to honeyandabsinthe.com for our merch. I am currently wearing the Cat Demon bomber jacket today. It helps us out when you buy something from our store. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ow.